Good evening and welcome to another episode of Whether or Not. I'm your host, David Guerrero, joined by forecaster Dennis Khrulov. Dennis, we saw that cold front come through on Tuesday, and it really just shut off that summer conditions and brought us into more of a fall-like feel. Should we expect precipitation for this upcoming weekend?
So luckily, no precipitation expected this weekend as we go into a more drier-like pattern. So if you have any outdoor activities this weekend, I'm giving it a green light.
Well, Dennis, that is music to my ears as I have some golf plans lined up, so I'm really excited for that.
Definitely some great weather for golfing, and especially for the first Penn State Club cross-country race this Saturday. I'm excited for the lower humidity and lower temperatures.
Well, will you be racing in the cross-country meet?
I will be racing this weekend. I'm excited.
Well, I wish you the best. I hope you do really good.
Thank you.
And coming up, we'll have a feature by Madison Olms talking about how this summer heat has affected the fall-like fruit development. Then we also have a short-range and extended forecast by our very own Dennis Khrulov. But first, here is Nature in the News.
During the week of September 4th, multiple days of rainfall led to extreme flooding rains across Greece and nearby countries. A low-pressure system developed over the Mediterranean Sea, which was named Daniel by the Greek Meteorological Service. Portions of the mountainous regions of Magnesia collected 600 to 800 millimeters of rain, which is roughly 25 to 30 inches. Some of the rainfall amounts in the region were equal to an average year's worth of rainfall. As a result of the heavy rains, multiple dams have broken through, roads and bridges have been washed out, and cars and homes were swept into the sea. Some additional impacts included prolonged periods without power and no drinking water. Hundreds of people were to be saved from helicopters as some of the flood waters were too high for any car transportation. According to the European Union's Satellite Earth Observation Agency, Copernicus, around 270 square miles of Greece's central farming belt has been damaged. Officials are still looking for missing people. However, so far 15 have been confirmed dead among several thousands that have been rescued and evacuated out of the damage-stricken areas.
Not only did Storm Daniel affect Greece, the storm also caused massive flooding in the eastern Libyan city of Derna. This has resulted in devastating tragedy with at least 5,100 confirmed deaths and many more expected as the search teams continue their efforts. The flooding caused by the Mediterranean storm Daniel was worsened by the collapse of two dams above the city, leading to flood waters sweeping through the city center. This type of storm, which is known as a medicane, typically occurs once or twice annually in the Mediterranean, often from September to January. Although they are not true hurricanes, they can occasionally reach hurricane strength. Derna's location in a narrow coastal plain made it particularly vulnerable, and most access roads were washed away, hampering aid efforts. Around 30,000 people were displaced, and the city remains nearly inaccessible for humanitarian aid workers.
Did you know that our ancestors nearly died out over hundreds of thousands of years ago? About 930,000 years ago, current scientists and researchers have found out that we were nearly wiped out. These scientists out of China have found out that we had a population crash, potentially due to a drastic change in the climate around that time. This period has been given the name bottleneck, and it lasted for just over 100,000 years. During this time, there were estimated to be roughly around 1,000 breeding individuals. The research was done through DNA. These researchers compared variations of DNA, and with modern technology, advanced DNA sequencing was done. They compared the genomes of around 3,000 people from 50 populations around the world and comparing them to today's genetic diversity among humans. The conclusion was that our ancestors weren't nearly extinct that long ago. Interestingly enough, this bottleneck period could have helped split our early ancestors into two descendants, the Neanderthals and modern humans. Right around the bottleneck period, these scientists have come to a conclusion that the planet became much colder and drier, which made it harder to grow and scavenge for food. It is no surprise that the population has rebounded since then, with the world population reaching 8 billion in November of 2022.
Last Sunday evening, a dazzling meteor streaked across the skies of the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast, captivating amazed onlookers. The meteor, believed to be a fireball, was visible as far south as Richmond and as far north as New York, leaving a bright and glowing trail as it passed through the atmosphere. NASA's Meteor Watch reported that it entered the atmosphere about 47 miles above Forest Hill, Maryland, traveling at a blistering 36,000 miles per hour and disintegrating at an altitude of 22 miles above York County, Pennsylvania. The meteor was reported to have shined as brightly as a quarter moon during its journey. The meteor's passage through the atmosphere caused it to burn up, with some eyewitnesses noting a green tail. Videos of the event suggest that it likely transformed into a bolide, characterized by a bright terminal flash and a visible fragmentation. It was a noteworthy event, but not uncommon, as thousands of meteors enter Earth's atmosphere daily, with many going unnoticed, especially when they occur over the ocean or uninhabited regions.
So as we head into another weekend of September, we're going to see a lot of sunshine. Starting off with your day on Friday, we're going to have high pressure over our area. So high pressure allows for sinking air. So we're going to see no cloud development, mostly sunny skies. It's going to be dry and mild. However, taking a look over on the East Coast, we're going to see this cold front that swept through our area on Tuesday, heading out to sea, bringing no impacts to our region for Friday. So again, great outdoor activities for Friday with mostly sunny skies. Make sure to get outdoors and enjoy that pattern. As we head into Saturday, high pressure will remain in control of our region with mild and dry conditions continuing. We might have a few upper level clouds associated with Hurricane Lee, which will bring in windy and wet conditions to the northeast. However, staying mostly dry here in PA. But we could have a beautiful sunset Saturday night with those high cirrus clouds streaming in. But again, staying mostly dry here in central PA. And on Sunday, we're going to have this cold front, which will begin to move into the Ohio Valley, bringing a few rain showers, especially across Ohio, western PA, West Virginia, and Kentucky. But here in State College, we're going to be staying on the drier side of things, but otherwise more clouds than sun for your Sunday. And on that back end of that cold front, we're going to have cooler air, drier air, which will settle in as we head into early next week. So starting off with your forecast for Friday, we're going to get to a high of 71 degrees, beautiful conditions. Don't forget the sunglasses before you head out. Again, mostly sunny skies, no clouds in sight. For Friday night, we're going to dip down to a low of 49 degrees. It's going to be a pretty chilly night that we've been used to over the past few weeks, so you might want to bring a heavier jacket or hoodie if you're planning to go out Friday night, but otherwise a pretty dry and calm night. As we head into Saturday, 73 degrees with, again, a few upper level clouds streaming in during the afternoon and evening hours. But again, no precipitation expected on Saturday. Get outdoors and soak in some of that sunshine. And Saturday night, not as cold as Friday night, but still getting down to a low of 52 degrees with increasing clouds expected. And then for Sunday, we're going to make it into the lower 70s with sun and clouds expected. A little bit more clouds and sun, but again, mostly dry conditions. And up next, we'll have a feature on heat and impacts on fruit by Madison.
Could our favorite fall fruits be at risk from extreme heat? Pennsylvania farmers are having to adapt to the changing climate and the heat that comes along with it. The Commonwealth has an $81.5 billion agriculture industry that supports 301,900 jobs and $14.5 billion in labor income. With the ever-changing climate, the crops, farmers, and workers in this industry could be greatly affected. Longer periods of intense heat are making farmers adopt new methods and strategies for growing their crops. One way this is being done is that farmers are choosing to grow different varieties of crops that are more heat tolerant than others and don't require cool conditions. An example of this would be choosing to opt for a different variety of apple to grow rather than a favored Macintosh apple, a treat that is meant to be crisp and ends up being mushy because of the heat. The same thought process can be applied to other fruits such as peaches, grapes, and nectarines. If these adaptations to growing aren't made, then there could be detrimental outcomes to farmers' incomes and livelihoods. Another adaptation farmers are having to make is adjusting their planting and harvesting schedules. Crop finish times have naturally been adjusted because of the heat. This not only affects the farmers' schedules, but market schedules as well. Profits could be affected if there's not enough produce to sell. Until recently, farmers did not have to rely on irrigation techniques, but because of the extreme weather, whether it be heat or drought, implementing those techniques has been necessary to ensure a successful crop. However, irrigation may not always be the solution. So to further help mitigate some of the effects of these events, growers have had to water many of their crops by hand to make sure they survive. We are no strangers to droughts and heat, but what makes it difficult is how frequently these events are occurring and how extreme they're getting. Since 1990, the average statewide temperature has risen 2 degrees Fahrenheit. There are projections that by the middle of the century, temperatures will be around 5.9 degrees hotter. Some extreme scenarios could even call for an increase of 9 to 10 degrees Fahrenheit. Along with increasing temperatures, we can also expect to see an increase in the amount of days that are 90 plus degrees. Days like that with such extreme heat can kill crops and put farmers out of thousands of dollars. Taking a look at these crops from a different perspective, with reduced yields and different crops being grown, consumers may have a more difficult time obtaining their favorite fall fruits and indulging in their favorite fall treats this season. For example, apples are a hot commodity during the autumn season, as they tend to be a main ingredient in many of the treats we love, some of which being apple pies, turnovers, and ciders. Fruit and vegetable production in Pennsylvania brings in approximately $358.9 million in sales each year. With fall beginning to be in full swing, will we be able to have access to our favorite produce after experiencing extreme heat? It'll be interesting to see how the summer heat truly affects our fall festivities. For Whether or Not, I'm Madison Olms.
If you love the sunny September days, you're going to love the extended forecast. But first, let's take a look at your weekend recap. Again, beautiful weekend with mostly sunny skies expected on Friday with highs making it into the lower 70s. Saturday and Sunday is going to be a rinse and repeat pattern as we see high temperatures making it to the mid-70s for those Saturday and Sunday. A little bit more clouds on Sunday, but otherwise mostly dry. So make sure to get outdoors and enjoy those dry conditions because we won't be seeing weekends like this for much longer as we dig deeper into the fall months. Anyway, for your extended outlook, starting off on Monday, we're going to have the system move in on Monday, allowing for a few showers, but otherwise not a big threat, with highs only making it into the lower 70s, so right around average for this time of year. But as we head into Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we're going to have a high pressure system settle in across the region, allowing for mostly sunny skies for the rest of next week, with highs slowly creeping above average, peaking around Thursday with highs making it to the mid to upper 70s, but otherwise a pretty great week. So enjoy this because winter is not that far away. And you know, here in State College, we see a lot of cloudy days in the winter months.
Yes, Dennis, I absolutely agree with you. And now here is your Weather Whiz quiz question for the week. What is the name of the Medicaid that flooded Greece and Libya? Is it A, Andrew, B, David, C, Daniel, or D, Monica? And if you guessed C, Daniel, you are correct. Now, Dennis, the storm was not known for its winds, but rather the rain it produced, as it gave around 18 months worth of rainfall for both countries of Greece and Libya.
I can't imagine seeing that much rain in such a short period of time here in PA.
Absolutely, Dennis. Now, that is all we have for you today. Join us next week for another episode of Whether or Not. Thank you, and good night.